All right. Welcome back to the Mythos Busters AV Club episode Seeker Carcosa. How's that, Sean?
That works. Also, the Miskatonic AV Club, you knob.
Oh, sorry. Miskatonic AV Club.
Brand confusion, Scott.
Oh, I don't have my coffee, but Sean does.
Your due.
uh, yeah, so we're going to talk about Seeker cards, starting with Minty Fan, the secretary. She's our Seeker investigator. She's got 4 willpower, 4 intellect, 2 combat, and 2 agility. She's the assistant. Or assistant traded, sorry, and she has a reaction after an investigator at your location commits a card to a skill test. That card gains a wild icon until the end of the test. Limit once for each investigator per round, and her Elder Sign effect is +1. You may choose a skill card committed to this skill test to return to its owner's hand after this test ends. 7 health, 7 sanity. You can depend on me to guide you through the unknown. And it's true, she is actually someone you can depend on in this game to help you through unknown things by investigating. Deck size of 30, obviously. Seeker cards 0 to 5, neutrals 0 to 5, survivor cards 0 to 2, and then
Which is most survivor cards, it turns out.
yeah, a large percentage of them. And then deck building requirements, her signatures, and a random basic weakness. How have your playthroughs with Min gone?
She's a different color seeker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think she's the first seeker that we can really call truly support. Like Rex just is Rex. Daisy, you can build very supporty, but I don't think she's by default a support type class. But yeah, this ability is pretty cool. It just kind of, I mean, at the end of the day, it's once per turn, and an investigator at your location gets +1 to a skill value, as long as someone commits a card to it.
Mm-hmm.
Which, depending on the difficulty you're playing on, it counts for a lot statistically.
Yep. And I mean, if there is that big test and you're all at one location and you each pitch a skill card to this big test that one investigator is doing, you can add that wild icon to each person's card, right? So that ends up being another +4. So if you're like double or nothing a shotgun at Yogg or something like that, that can happen. But
What was my big mark swing at Arkham Knights? It was, what was he firing at? Was it wasn't the Ghoul Priest? It was.
Oh, was it? No, it wasn't Silas.
Was it a Mordoth?
Was it? No, it might have been a no, because
Anyway, Mark swung in for like 9 damage in a single go because of double or nothing. But yeah, moments like that, every little point counts.
Well, it probably would have been 10, because you can't really swing for 4.5 damage. But
no, but I had committed the home front to it, which doesn't double.
Correct.
Does it double?
Mm.
Frick. Okay, never mind. This is a rabbit hole.
Anyways, you can swing big with Min. Yeah, you know what though? Like, I even find it. It's just nice to have that extra one once in a while. Like each turn, it turns any card with a single pip into one of those, like the neutral ones. You know what I mean? So like her skill card choice and the cards you choose to put in your deck based on icons is a lot different than any other deck, I find. And it turns single wild icon cards into unexpected courages, which is fantastic.
Especially the rash of cards we've gotten lately that have like 3 single icons as a skill. Makes those
Well, we were
really
just talking like resourceful in Min is fantastic. So
should probably cover her 6 at this point.
Yeah, probably. Kind of what makes her the supporting thing as well. So you want to read Analytical Mind?
Sure. So Analytical Mind is her signature asset. Lines. It has two wild icons, talent traded, Minty Fan deck only. You may commit one card to each skill test performed by an investigator at another location. React. After you commit exactly one card to a skill test, exhaust Analytical Mind, draw one card.
What was the name of the deck that you thought of when we kind of built together?
Oh, Min in the chair?
Armchair Min, or yeah?
Yeah,
Min in the chair?
Armchair was someone else said that, but the
okay.
Cerebro Min is the other
Yes.
build. But it's all the same idea, that Min just kind of sits back, camps, or moves very slowly and deliberately, but the whole idea is that she's just kind of tossing out boons to everyone across the board and just trying to keep her hand big, and it's a fun build.
It is, and like she's I think like really one of the only ones that can do it because of this signature. I guess you could try with In the Know and a few other investigators, but that deck is really interesting. I the only deck I've ever put 2 barricades in.
Yes.
So
it might be the only deck I've ever put 1 barricade in.
Yeah. Really interesting signature. How often do you play this versus chuck this for skill icons?
I would say if my build is really focused on that support idea or that support role, I would say I'm playing this pretty much all the time. But I find that not every Min build I make is entirely focused on that support role. So in those builds, probably 50-50.
I'm finding I play it a bit, probably like 75% of the time, even if I'm not playing super support, just because it's super nice to just be able to commit a card from across the board.
And keep your hand full.
Yeah. Have you played solo Min much?
I have not. I don't play much true solo as it is, but no, I've not tried solo Min. I've heard she's an adventure.
She's interesting. She's a very tricky one to play. But in solo, I actually play this Analytical Mind a lot more often than I first thought, just because of the ability to draw a card. So, something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I mean, card draw counts for a lot. Until you hit the weakness, right?
Oh boy, that King in Yellow. It is a King in Yellow Act 1 asset weakness. It's a tome. Revelation, another tome that Daisy can't use, by the way. Revelation, put the King in Yellow into play in your threat area. It cannot leave play except through the reaction ability below. You cannot commit exactly 1 or 2 cards to a skill test. Then reaction after skill test is successful, in which Minty Fan has committed at least 6 matching skill icons for that test. Discard the King in Yellow. And it takes up a hand slot, so it knocks something out of your hand. Like your trusty lightning gun or shotgun or something.
I don't think... Min... right.
Yeah. Min with a lightning gun. Awesome.
I don't think there's any reaction or ability that I've seen in the game that beckons the tentacle more than this one.
Oh man, it is like a seance for the tentacle. You know what? The only one that might compete with it is 2 copies of upgraded Vicious Blow in one big swing on a monster.
Yeah.
The amount of times I've done that in Rougarou specifically, when I'm trying to, like, okay, I've put just enough damage and then, the last swing.
Trying to land the killing blow, yeah.
Yeah. Multiple times I've drawn the tentacle on that. And even one time my friend's like, don't put them both in one. You're going to draw the tentacle. I'm like, no. And then, yeah, so. But yes, this is an annoying weakness.
It is.
Like, it can be backbreaking.
Because I find it's tough to get rid of on your own. Like, Min tends to be just flush with icons, but having the ability to get to 6 icons and also have the 6 icons that you have in your hand be a test that you can kind of trigger on command to try to get rid of this, that's kind of where it becomes an issue for me. Like, most of the time, I'm digging for intellect icons so I can swing a huge or a huge investigate test and just get rid of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate it when you have like 2 willpower icons, 2 agility icons, 2 intellect icons like in your hand, and you're just like,
Yeah, and you're like, God, this was a good hand 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, this was a great support hand.
Yeah.
And not to mention it knocks something out of your hand, which is also super annoying.
Especially for a seeker.
Yeah. I would put this on the level of annoyance, but not quite as bad as Marie's weakness there, the voodoo guy.
Right. It's not single-handedly going to wreck your game. It can
No.
put a hard stop on plans, but...
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say this one's middling as far as how threatening it is as a weakness, but it still is real annoying.
I'd say it's in the top 5 weaknesses in the entire game, as far as annoying and hard to deal with. But
perhaps we should move that conversation to the podcast regular.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good topic idea.
I'm glad you thought of it.
See, this way, when we're doing this sideshow, it's like we're doing field work for the main show.
I was going to say, let's swing in with a higher skill value.
Go ahead.
Is it me? Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, so field work, level 0, seeker, asset, 2 cost, has an ability icon, talent traded. Reaction, after you move to a location, if that location has at least 1 clue on it, exhaust field work, you get +2 skill value for the next skill test you perform this phase. If this didn't get Jean into the Explorers Club, nothing would. I always kind of assumed that was Ursula in that pick, but
apparently Janae.
Hey,
is there an investigator called Janae?
There's one called
Arkham?
You mean Miss Barnes?
Oh no, but I mean like Gene.
That might is that just French Jenny? Are they being tricky here?
No, it's short for probably short for Genevieve or Genevieve.
Genevieve. All right.
Genevieve.
To that, I don't believe we have one of those.
Oh.
So anyway,
on to the actual card.
Isn't it? This one even seemed to me at the time like this is cool, but I was kind of expecting this to come in like the Monterey Jack pack, or something like that. Just because when we saw Pathfinder back in the Dunwich cycle, we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna get an investigator who's all about just like zipping around and being highly mobile and taking advantage of that. And then this came out, it's like, okay, Monterey Jack confirmed. And then as it turned out, that investigator was not Monterey Jack, because we'll get there when we get around to the Forgotten Age.
Yeah, in like 2 years. Field work does work.
It sure does.
Especially if you have Pathfinder out, like you were mentioning. Like that combination is disgusting. And I love too that this is the next skill test you perform, not the next investigate. It's just whatever you need to do. Do you need to evade? Do you need to fight a guy? Like, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. And I find, and honestly, I know a lot of people upgrade their shortcuts into Pathfinders. I find room for both, because mobility in this game is so bloody important. And doing this off of a shortcut when you have an enemy engaged to then get the boost you need to evade it, you feel smart.
Yeah.
Great in Rex, it turns out.
Yes. Turns OP Rex into OOP
Super
Rex.
OP Rex.
Yeah.
I've taken this in Roland. Like I've taken probably a 1 of in almost every investigator who can take this, as long as they care, as long as they're going to be moving around.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, as we were talking about Min's kind of like camp and help build, it's funny that this was released in her expansion, because it doesn't actually synergize particularly well with Min.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if you're doing the armchair,
right,
cerebral Min,
regular Min is okay.
Yeah, this card, like, I know it's yellow, but it is such a versatile card, because it's not linked specifically to investigating. It's just linked to the clue being present. Like you said, any investigator that can take it, it's a solid one of and two of in a lot of them.
Yep.
But so maybe she discovered some archaic glyphs over yonder, and that's what she's hoping will get her into the Explorer Club. But we have archaic glyphs. They are untranslated. It's a zero-cost asset. It has a intellect pip. It's an item, occult, and a tome that Daisy can use. Action: discard a card with at least one intellect icon from your hand. Place one resource on archaic glyphs from the token pool as a secret. Forced, after the third secret is placed on archaic glyphs, discard archaic glyphs and gain 5 resources. Record in your campaign log that you have translated the glyphs. And it takes up a hand slot.
It's kind of unfair that we should have to review this when the translated glyphs come in a later pack.
Well, you know what? Let's take a look at it. How do you feel about the difficulty of translating the glyphs? Is this an appropriate, like, is this worth translating if there was no upgraded version? Would you put this in your deck?
Oh god, no.
Okay, good.
I mean, 3 actions and specific skill icons that you're probably looking to use for actually investigating. Like, that's not worth 5 resources in a hand slot, even at 0 cost.
I only ask because I know when Unidentified Solution came out, there were people trying to make a case for putting it in a deck just because it, you're playing a card and then you would get card draw from it. And I was just like, that is not a good way to draw.
There are better ways for sure, but at least that one, if you've got a really high intellect, you can just bang the test out in one go and not have to kill a bunch of actions. Whereas this one, you're in for 3 actions. That's what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
So,
the good thing about this too is, I mean, like, you're right. The action cost of the solution is 2, right? 1 to play it, and then 1 to hopefully successfully get it. This one is 4, so it's...
Do we count the 1 to play it? Isn't that just... have to go Netrunner on this?
Well, here's my argument, though.
Okay.
So, it costs... Solution is 2, this is 4, so you can't do it in a single turn. However, this is 4 full stop, because it's like just placing a card, there's no test. Whereas solution, it might end up being 3 or 4 if you pull a tentacle playing on expert, something like that, where there is a chance of failure. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the chance of less actions with the test, or do you prefer guaranteed but it takes more actions?
It's a good question. I don't know that I would clearly prefer it one over the other. I think just it makes it so that archaic glyphs could really go anywhere because, you're not going to be hobbled by your investigator stats as long as they can take this and presumably take the upgraded cards. You can just put it in. But, I wouldn't put... Well, okay, let's peek into the alternate universe where it would matter, but I wouldn't put the unidentified solution or the strange solution in Roland, for instance. Because at 3 intellect, that's a harder test, a way bigger ask, and I just don't see it hitting. And obviously, he can't take the upgraded solutions, so, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it is worth noting, too, that because it's occult, Akachi can take this, and she has an intellect of 2, I believe. And so this is, like, she could not take Strange Solution.
No.
And this is... It seems like it's made for Seekers, obviously, but it has Akachi in mind and makes it possible for Akachi to actually complete it. So.
Right. We'll talk more about the translated glyphs when we get there.
Yeah,
at great length, I'm sure.
When we're more in the know.
Yeah, so in the know is a level 1 Seeker asset, 3 cost, intellect icon, talent traded, and uses 3 secrets. Action, spend 1 secret, investigate. Investigate any revealed location in play as if you were at that location.
Cerebro Man.
Cerebro Min. I mean, honestly, this is even a decent as a one of in multiplayer if you're a dedicated
Hmm.
clue gatherer.
Yeah,
And
I really.
it probably goes without saying because it's the yellow card and it's Rex, but Rex really likes this because you can snag a clue off another location, and if you succeed by 2, still grab one off of your own.
Yeah. So he can sit on like a 5 shroud location and investigate the 1 or 2 shroud one across the map and be picking clues up off the 5 shroud. Like
God damn it,
it's.
Rex is so broken. I mean, I
I
don't
disagree
care. I
with
don't want.
broken,
I
but
don't want Narada. I
yeah.
don't mind the occasional broken investigator when you really want to like rage a campaign out. Just go Mark and Rex
Hmm.
and Rex shop. But
Yeah, this is a very niche card, but it's not a bad niche. Like it seems like compared to what we were talking about earlier with hiding spot has a few niche uses, but they come up rarely. Whereas I think in the know has a few niche uses, but they come up somewhat often.
yeah,
The scenario for using in the know occurs way more often than hiding spot scenarios.
especially if you're playing multiplayer.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a pretty cool little card. Any
Mhm.
other combos you've found with it?
No. I mean, you can use deduction uh,
Sure.
with it to kind of, if you need to clear off a location from somewhere else. Like I don't really think there's crazy combos with it. It's just a good reach out and help somebody from across the map kind of thing,
Mm-hmm. Or
or
you're
help the
just
team.
saving yourself movement action, ultimately.
Yeah.
So,
Well, in the click economy,
uh,
it's 3 resources in a card, John. So, no, just kidding.
no, it's bloody not.
Yeah. I mean, and you know what? Like for anyone that would make that argument, I would argue hard against it, in that um, the the path to that location may be littered with ghouls and monsters and like unrevealed locations or like it may be. It's not just the movement; it's what happens during that movement. Um, and this is even great at the end of Dunwich, right? Lost in Time and Space.
Bad,
Like you can
yes.
just investigate wherever. You don't have to have connecting locations and stuff. So
Hmm. Hmm. Oh, hey, random thought. Someone, by the time we hit Dim Carcosa in Iron Man this year, someone needs to be running this and Deciphered Reality. That needs to
okay, good plan.
happen.
Don't let everyone know our secrets, Sean.
In our cooperative Iron Man.
Our cooperative, non-competitive. Yes. Although I hear someone's making some points
Oh, all right. I'll
celebrating
clam up then.
things. Yeah. We got to keep our stats.
Join us at Arkham Knights
Something.
for the annual Mythos Busters Iron Man Carcosa run
Yeah.
in October.
All right.
Pay attention to the FFG website.
On your way there, leave no stone unturned. No Stone Unturned is a Seeker event, 2 costs, level 0, has a wild icon. It's an insight traded card. Choose an investigator at your location. That investigator searches the top 6 cards of his or her deck for a card, draws it, and shuffles his or her deck. How many times have you used this card, Sean?
Um, this is kind of a combo card for me. If I've got an investigator that really wants 1 or 2 specific cards from their deck, like for instance, I've run this as Splash for Jim when I really want to see
Mm.
that trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
What I will say is that in the decks that I used to run esoteric sketches,
Mm-hmm.
no, preposterous sketches, sorry.
Yeah, preposterous.
Preposterous sketches, this has mostly replaced that.
You take No Stone Unturned over preposterous sketches. That's what you're saying.
Most of the time, yes.
Wow.
Unless
We are
I'm
very different, good sir.
unless I'm going higher education and I want to just keep my hand full.
Hmm. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel like top 6, dare I say it's not good enough for 2 cost. Like it's yeah, I don't know. I mean, and they're of course it feels great when you search the top 6 and you found 2 weaknesses and you're like, shuffling them back.
It sure does.
Um, but I mean that's just like random deck is random, right? So uh yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this because I feel like 6 cards is just not deep enough. Like if it was top 9, might be a bit better, but
Mm-hmm. Well, and in multiplayer, this definitely it's stock raises because as opposed to preposterous sketches, you can't play this or you can't play preposterous sketches on someone else. So
yeah,
if you've got your Roland who just hit Dead Man's Click on his last round on his current his 38 or whatever, he needs to go dig for another weapon.
yep,
This is a nice option to have.
that's true.
So
This,
it's definitely doesn't go in every deck though.
it's a good support card. I guess I haven't played enough games where I'm running a true support.
Sure.
Yeah, archetype. I
And I
could
have a
see this
feeling
if
that you don't just as a general rule, you probably don't play too many decks where you're relying on 1 or 2 specific cards to really do
Mhm.
what you're trying to do because that's just by its very nature less consistent.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? One deck I could see this in actually is Lightning Gun Zoe, just as another way to get that combo. But
Yeah,
but
I
you're
can
right.
see
Like
that.
this is a combo card, right? Like it's I need to assemble these 2 or 3 cards, and then I have like this insane hand or trick or lightning gun.
Yep.
That's where this card goes. I don't think this just is in ye old secret deck every
Yep,
time.
I would agree.
Cool. Well, out of these 4 cards, Sean, what's your favorite
Field
one?
work. It's field work.
Yeah, I think it's got to be field work.
In
And
the
it is really hard to talk about archaic lists
right.
because
This is just a
we're not.
weird group of cards to try to compare against one another.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would go field work, in the know. I'm not even gonna include archaic glyphs, so then
Yeah.
no stone unturned.
Yeah. Echo chamber, same thing. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We are going to move on to what's next. Rogue. Stay tuned. Yeah.